And the
And
smoothie.
we're live. It is Thursday, March 6th, the year of our Lord 2025. It is 8 o'clock a.m. I'm sure in the church calendar there is a name for the Thursday after Ash Wednesday, but I'll be darned if I know about it. Um, and I have a bone to pick with y'all in the YouTube comments, okay? Because the YouTube commenters, as I was pointed out by the estimable John Hawkinson, were all aflutter yesterday because my audio was completely inaudible on YouTube. And when I checked, my audio was also completely inaudible on the podcast. Now, you might say that is a production problem, and you would be right. And we fixed it, and we made the audio not pristine because I was on a moving train, but audible, which is what audio is supposed to be. But I want to point out to something else here, which is that, all you people who are complaining about my audio on YouTube. Nobody was complaining about it on Riverside. And what's the difference between them and you? They are paid subscribers and members of the Greek chorus. And you are a plebe. So, you have the option of fixing this problem by becoming a subscriber instead of being one of those people who whines about stuff in YouTube comments. So, for everybody who wants it, the YouTube version of 2 days ago's show is now fine. The YouTube version of yesterday's show went up late because we had to fix the audio, but it's fine. But, if you're asking me to sit here and apologize to you about audio quality when you are not a subscriber to this show, I just want to say I do not answer to you. I answer to the Greek chorus
And the cactus.
and the cactus. And, I'm just not apologizing. I give this stuff to you for free. You can deal with whatever audio quality you get. And if I sound like I'm a little bit pissed off, it's because I am. Because this morning I woke up to news that Donald Trump is revoking the TPS status of 240,000
Including
Ukrainians.
my friends, Tatiana and Sergey.
Yeah, including my friends that are numerous enough that it would be difficult to list. And so I just want to say, fuck you,
Fuck you. The cactus says,
motherfuckers.
make the cactus. Fuck you.
That's right. What do we say, cactus?
Oh. Oh, sorry. It repeats everything. So let's.
Yeah, let's.
Fuck you, Donald Trump.
And, we are not allowed to have fun anymore. And I'm pissed off about it. And apparently, we're not allowed to have Ukrainian friends in the United States either anymore. And that was before I started texting with Alicia about, why she's mad at me because of, the current sanctions stuff, which are apparently all my fault. And so
Americans
and
for
so I'm
it.
just in a little
It's
bit of
directed.
a little bit of a grumpy mood right now. And so, look, I'm just going to turn things over to the cactus.
Sorry, cactus is.
We're watching Dog Shirt TV, an effing revolution in morning television.
You are watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is an effing revolution in morning television. And one of the revolutionary features, and there are many, is that I have a Canadian co-host who personally blames me for all of the sanctions and who then denies it when we're on the show. And another one of the revolutionary features is that we have a former CIA analyst with a mysterious cactus and snowman who launched the show. Look, folks, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping. It's going to be a great effing day.
Such a great day.
It's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
All right, what's on the agenda today, guys?
Can I do a little rant? Just a
Yeah.
small. Okay. So my rant is about atheists who are as annoying as fundamentalist Christians. Okay. Yesterday was Ash Wednesday. Today is, I believe, Maundy, Thursday. But frankly, all of this church calendar stuff is new to me because I've only been a mainline Protestant for several years versus 40 plus years as an evangelical, and they do not do the church calendar because that is legalistic, and I don't know. They're better than that. They're better than all of us, quite frankly. So anyway, I went to my first Ash Wednesday service last night, and I was very moved by it, and I posted something about it, and the atheists came for me, mocking religion and mocking my religion and mocking and being assholes, and I don't appreciate that. Hello, you are what you hate, by the way. And you're as insufferable as the people I grew up with. So congratulations. How can people not just leave people alone? Just leave people, do your thing. Do your thing. Be, support others in doing their thing. Don't storm the Capitol. Don't piss on people's social media posts about Ash Wednesday. Just go live your life and let other people live their life. This is a long, hard life. We all have our means of coping, and just go away and go do your thing. And that's all I'm got to say about that.
Go away and go do your thing. Alicia, what do you want to rant about this morning?
I don't have a rant.
You're just
I have a rant, but it has nothing to do with current politics. It's
That's
more
fine.
about the fact that you seem to have zeroed in on what Graham Brookie once told a moderator to do to me. And I feel like friends have figured this out, that if you want me to talk, say something that I will disagree with and get me angry. And then that will force me to speak publicly. And it's just not nice, Ben. It's not nice.
And in this case, it's saying something that you will disagree with that isn't even true.
Exactly. Yeah. Often that is what will provoke me. Although, coming back to Holly's point, I don't understand why everybody needs to comment on everything. I think this urge is weird. Maybe we need more introverts. You see, I was just listening to this podcast yesterday.
You're so right. We do.
And they were saying about how basically a third, well, this is Americans, because it's always Americans, like a third of Americans are introverted, and they're forced to, or they're told to constantly mask to be like extroverts in order to get ahead. So they're having to pretend that they're somebody else. And it's this whole issue around masking and how this fractures your identity and you're not really who you are. And I feel like there's something to be said about that. Like, maybe we should be more introverted and not have to express our opinions all the time.
This is a very good point, Alicia, which I totally agree with, because here's the thing. I am insufferably extroverted. If there's a thought in my head, it must come out, or else my face will screw up into a pained expression. I can keep a secret. Obviously, I had security clearances, but it's not easy for me to, especially if I have a feeling. I can hold information, but if I have a feeling, it's going to come out either on my face or out of my mouth. And I'm married to an introvert who is incredibly guarded and cautious, and it's annoying because I am constantly having to apologize and for things that I have said that cause trouble. I'm constantly having to clean up a mess that I have made, and he never has to, ever. And it's very annoying because it gives the perception that he is perfect and I am deeply flawed, but I don't think that's actually true, but it certainly gives the impression that he is perfect.
Yeah. So I don't know whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert. I think of myself as a high socially functioning introvert. Um, but um, but my affect is very extroverted. Um, so Alicia, we had a brief conversation yesterday with Ev about the tariff news, and I was interested in your impressions of where things are. Um, I saw the premiere of Manitoba, which is the first time I have ever seen the premiere of Manitoba on a social media post, uh, uh, doing a announcing a purge of U.S. products from the shelves of Manitoba. Where are we with things?
Well, we're not as hot, Ben, obviously, and we won't back down because we're really passive aggressive. But in this case, we're just being aggressive. So where are we? First of all, I want to come back to Wab Kinew because Wab Kinew is pretty amazing. He's the premier of Manitoba. He was a longtime CBC broadcaster before that, and I believe he might be the first Indigenous premier, definitely of Manitoba, and he's very well liked, and all around
What party
amazing.
is he?
I think he's NDP, which is the national or the National Democratic Party.
It's the sort of socialist party. It's the AOCs of Canada.
Yeah, although I really hate when these terms get used because this idea of what is socialism and what isn't is really, I don't know, a little bit much coming
They're
from
a
Americans.
labor-backed party. Is
They
that
like
fair?
to have things like healthcare, which we think is just kind of more of a human right, not really some sort of crazy communist
Right, but
conspiracy.
they're the left of the Canadian political spectrum.
Yeah, they are. They're the left in a kind of more traditional kind of left sort of way. But they don't have a whole lot of influence. But then again, as you've known for different shows, there's a lot of variance in terms of what happens in the provinces and what happens at a federal level. So this is the provincial level. Anyway, he's very cool. But in regards to Canadian responses, even Danielle Smith, who is thinking or before she was trying to say how she's got a special relationship with Trump, etc., more to the right of the spectrum, is starting to talk a lot stronger against the
And
tariffs
who is
and fighting back.
Danielle Smith?
Danielle Smith is the premier of Alberta, which is, kind of our oil capital producing
Yeah, it's
region next to
Texas.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
So this is the middle west of the country, I guess. So I think that there's been a lot stronger, let's say, uniformity in terms of Canadian premiers being angry. And the premiers, like your state governors, have a lot of control and influence over their areas. But I think at a national level, it's also been said that we're not going to be negotiating on individual tariffs and reliefs on individual ones. Everything that was implemented yesterday is holding until all of the tariffs are removed. So it does seem like at least the current leadership, which we won't have much longer, alas, is not interested in playing the games that clearly your administration is trying to play with us. Now, what I also learned yesterday was that McKinley tried to do this before he became president. He was putting forth, and I didn't fact check this, so this warrants like Greek chorus digging in and fact checking this. But there was a post going around yesterday that this has been tried before, where they put 50% tariffs on Canada with the ambition of trying to make us collapse so that we would join the Union way back when in the 1800s. And it didn't work. Actually, what it did was it pushed us further to the UK, back into their hands, just like it did with 1812. And one of the things that
Notice
strikes
the
me,
grin when she said 1812.
well, so I've been thinking a lot lately, and again, this is like what my background is, I guess, strategic studies, is how strategic is this administration? And to me, every time I look at it, it doesn't feel very strategic. So part of me is wondering, did they think in smacking tariffs on us that we would run back to the UK like we have historically and hope that they would help us? Knowing that the UK really, after Starmer's visit, feels like it's a lot more in the American pocket than would ever be up for protecting us again. And I think the miscalculation here is that wasn't exactly where we turned. It pushed us to Europe this time. And it makes me, again, wonder whether the moves that are being made in this administration are really thought through in how the world actually works versus how they hope it works by being bullies.
Karamia, why are we asking that question?
Because I can't help myself.
They're
I'm just sitting
not
here worried.
thinking it through.
It's all
That's
like
the
vengeance and, just pettiness.
Canada is big, it is woke, and it is, yeah, you guys, like you have things like indigenous premiers in Manitoba, and
Also, you have
and
a hot prime minister for now.
um
No,
and
Alicia, trust me, you do.
He doesn't do it for me.
Really? How? Anyway, it's just all the politics have crowded your brain.
Nah, he was never high
Never.
on my list. First
who's
of all,
the last
I think in a
politician who
democracy,
you really liked in Canada?
I just said I like Wab Canoe.
Yeah, that's true. No, but I mean, like the last prime minister who you thought was, you look back and you say, oh, that Brian Mulroney guy, he was fabulous.
I'll give you an answer. Jean Chrétien, despite his corruption, stands high in my regard for having told the Americans, no, we will not go into Iraq. This does not make sense.
All right. Jean Chrétien, that's the nicest thing I have ever heard about him.
I think that for a lot of Canadians, that still stands. Now, what you'll notice is that the Canadian prime ministers increase in regard in their ability to stand up to America.
Yeah, and they also, as with American presidents, I think they age well. So, like, I don't remember Jean Chrétien being a popular man at any time, but people remember him fondly. And ditto Mulroney, I think, like, but, um, and similarly, George H.W. Bush, we remember quite fondly, but he couldn't get reelected. Um,
Well, I think because of I think Ross Perot did him. I think he would have been reelected, don't you think, if Perot hadn't gone in?
I don't know. I think Bill Clinton was an unstoppable force
Mm.
in 1992. But anyway, so I have a question about Canada's uh, what does the next 6 months look like for Canada? You've got an election sometime, maybe as late as the fall. You've got an economy that's going to take a real hit. Um, and there's a commitment to not backing down, and to not being passive aggressive, but being just aggressive. I noticed on the Canadian Embassy, speaking of woke, the other day, there was a big diversity sign that was like, sort of like a fuck you directed at Pennsylvania Avenue, Constitution Avenue. It said something like, diversity is our strength. Which
They have a
I
really great location too. The Canadian Embassy is right in between the Capitol and the White House. So you have to drive right by if you're going between the two. It's like a perfect location.
So how long, Alicia, does, obviously the Trump administration's view is we'll do this long enough to bring Canada to its knees. What do you think is the realistic time frame before this starts really hurting Canadians?
I couldn't possibly guess. I'm not an economist. I can't predict what is actually going to happen. It seems like the economists can't really predict what's going to happen,
Right.
because there's different speculations happening, right? Like on one hand, I heard on the radio something about inflation will go up, but at the same time, because spending will go down, and something else there's other factors that might drive it down. So I just don't think anybody has any information on what this is going to mean. So how long we can last is a question. I mean, I think we're going to be coming into our growing season soon, so maybe that's going to be a big boost for agriculture and changing how we produce things. It does look from the grocery store that we aren't as dependent on you for food as maybe it was immediately apparent. I think for us, it's the manufacturing
Right.
industries that are going to be the hardest hit. There's been a lot of coverage, at least locally, from Lee Valley Tools. If you haven't heard of them, great Canadian brand. And, you know, they've got some production issues, but they've been trying to think through that. So the longer that Trump's been making this, and again, it's only been weeks, the more that Canadians start to rethink their processes and plan, right? Like, I think that's the other thing is we're just not sitting back and waiting anymore. It looks like a lot of Canadian, at least smaller businesses, are starting to have strategies, enact plans. They're no longer waiting. So I think longer term, if we can manage to ride this out, I don't see how our relationship gets repaired in my lifetime. Um, I think that the other issue here is that we can't even trust agreements with
Right.
the American administration. Now, I don't know if you saw, but I think Canada did make a claim at the WTO. I don't think that's going to make any difference because it doesn't seem like this administration really cares about rules, not domestic ones nor international ones. And so part of me is a little bit worried that this is just going to accelerate, again, a destruction of, you know, international orders, like the state of international order.
Well, so I would like to say something to everybody who's contemplating buying Canadian products right now, which is that, as Alicia can tell you, I ordered a veritable truckload full of Canadian hardwood to protest the tariffs the first time that they went into effect. I ended up not paying the tariff because, you know, Trump backed down for a month. And so I ordered it right after the tariffs were announced, and then the tariffs were suspended. But the giant truckload showed up the other day at the cabin in the woods, and I had to unload it myself, which was not good for my back. But I want to say, Canadian hardwoods, buy them. And these were, you know, from Ev's people. And they thought it was completely hilarious that I was buying them, you know, to protest the tariffs. But, you know, Canadian hardwood looks different from American hardwood floors. You know, different trees up there, different grains, different. So these are quite beautiful. I will send pictures after I've laid them, which is going to be a little while because I'm going to Argentina tomorrow, for which reason there will not be a show tomorrow morning. But remember that part, no show tomorrow because I'm going to be in Argentina. Yeah, so, you know, buy Canadian stuff. Yeah, it's going to be 25% more expensive than it was going to be a week ago, but that's okay. Pay it. Keep Canadians employed. You know, nice hardwoods, good maple syrup, good whiskeys, ice wine. What else should people be thinking of that they, Alicia, that they don't think of like as Canadian stuff, but they really should be thinking of, you know, obviously Alberta oil if you want to buy a barrel of oil.
I mean, we have all the same products you have.
Yeah, I
I
know,
think.
but you can't like,
Oh, hold on a
but
second.
you can't like,
We can travel to Canada. We can do go as tourists, assuming they will let us in. You're not going
You
to
can
let.
still come in. You can still
Okay.
travel. Actually,
people
there
be
should
nice
be
to
like
us?
a retreat.
Will people
No,
be nice
so
to
we
us,
can.
or will they hold, you know, glower at us like you do to me?
I don't glower at you until you say shit like that.
I think if
Okay,
we wear like Ukraine pins or something, Ben, don't you think? We're gonna, when we travel in other countries, I think we have to wear some designation indicating that we are not MAGA people.
okay. First of all, my understanding is that other Americans who have traveled here recently have been warmly welcomed, and the response when they find out that people are from the U.S. is like, "Wow, it's quite the situation down there." Uh,
Which is
So
to say they glower.
no, because
Oh,
first of all, I do think that we are capable of distinguishing what your administration does from the people. Now, the booing at hockey games was not a great look. I'm not a fan of that, but I also can understand that
okay.
there's just a
I
general
am.
frustration for average people, and that's how they can take it out. I think it's problematic because it sends the wrong message to
Yeah, but wait, I
Americans.
want to stance. Ev said the same thing, and I want to say a word in defense of that. The U.S. hockey team is representing the country. When you're there as a tourist, you're not representing the country. You're just there. I'm going to Argentina to, today because I have a wedding to go to in Argentina. I'm not going there as a representative of the United States. So if people are mean to me because I'm American, that's not nice. But if you go there wearing a hockey uniform rep on Team USA, people are perfectly within their rights, I think, to express their irritation with the government by rooting for the other side.
I agree. I'm fine with it.
I I actually think that we are always representing our communities and groups, whatever we do, so long as we affiliate with them. So if I'm out in the world and somebody asks me where I'm from and I say I'm Canadian and I behave badly, that's bad on my country, bad on my fellow Canadians. Maybe
Sure.
that's
Which is
why.
why
Never
booing
mind.
the anthem is fine, I feel like. So,
Oh, yeah. I don't know. And this is what worries me is because then the backlash at that last game, which we won, was really horrible to watch, right? Like it made me very worried about how easily, after generations of indoctrination around patriotism, the American people, whether they're Democratic or Republican, might turn on us.
Yeah.
I think non-MAGA Americans are fully in the corner of Canada and any democratic nation who is going to stand up to this because we're actually hungry to see that. I mean, I don't, to me, it's like when I see Canadians booing the anthem, I think, I feel encouraged. I'm like, okay, well, this entire country is delusional, and or half the country anyway is delusional and like gaslighting, but other places in the world see what's going on and are trying to push back. Like I feel like we have limited power right now to do anything. But Canada can, do retaliatory tariffs and boycott American goods. And
Or
yes,
kick
like,
in 240,000 Ukrainians we're about to kick out.
yeah.
Message to Justin Trudeau. I got 240,000 Ukrainians
Oh,
there
good.
for you. They're I
Hardworking.
know them all. They're really lovely people, and they all need a place to go
That's right.
in relatively short order. You guys have a really sane immigration policy. You guys,
Not anymore.
not
Yeah.
anymore.
It got it's been a very contentious issue, and there's been a very sharp turnaround in terms of our immigration policy.
But
Okay,
for
let me
Ukraine,
amend.
though, but
You
for
guys
you,
have historically had a really cool immigration policy. You also have a per capita shitload of Ukrainians. I got some more for you, and I'm we're going to be sending them on. I think it'll be a caravan, is what we call it, and they're heading toward the border.
yeah, I mean, I have read things what Alicia's saying, about Trudeau government let in all these refugees and that there's been a backlash. But I feel like under the current moment and with the support for Ukraine, like, don't you think there would be political support for taking the Ukrainians that are expelled from the United States?
I think that humans are humans wherever they are, and we are now in a struggle for what we perceive to be our very existence, facing an economic crunch already at a time where we have a housing crisis and there's been a backlash against immigration. I'm not entirely sure that we will be as welcoming as we once have been.
No. It's
Interesting.
a nice thought, Ben.
All right. Next thought. Here's my next Canadian thought.
Wait, can I plug some products?
Yeah. Screen
I have
share.
two really local products to plug. Screen share. I mean, these are really for the women out there
All right,
or for the women in your life. You
Well,
want a
this
screen
makeup
share.
Ben is also interested.
we have women on this show, as you may have
Okay.
noticed.
Well, so first of all, this one is for everyone, even if it looks cutesy. Both of these are from a small town near Ottawa called Merrickville, which is beautiful on the historic Rideau Canal, which, by the way, was constructed to put our capital farther away from you guys to prevent future attacks. Fun fact. And
Well, and just before you go on, Alicia, when you order from these companies, screenshot it and share it on social media that you are proudly paying the tariff to buy Canadian.
I don't know if these are getting tariffed, to be honest, but
Of course they are. It's all
they're amazing.
products.
Okay, so the caramels from this shop, very small shop, are so amazing that this is what we take abroad to gift people. And we're getting people like in Europe and stuff hooked on this such that they've been ordering them because we're bad like that. And so it's called Pickle and Myrrh. Try it. And then the other one,
Say
which
it
is
again.
also Pickle and Myrrh.
And what's the URL?
It
Pickle-
is pickleandmyrrh.com.
Pickleandmyrrh.com, not .ca.
No.
All right, pickleandmyrrh.com.
And I
And
just
myrrh, of
I'm sure
course.
these are delicious, but neither pickle and myrrh and caramel sound delicious. But
Holly, I swear by these. You try
Oh, I
these. If you
believe
like
you.
sweets, you will be
I
hooked.
have never met a sweet that I don't like. Well, there's some weird European and Asian sweets that I've not. They don't have enough sugar in them,
Well,
but
like black licorice with salt on it out of Sweden is one of the
oh,
worst things I've ever eaten.
oh, I
Oh
actually
yeah,
like.
I've had that too. That didn't move me, I have
I
to
like
say.
black licorice, so yeah.
I made faces and sounds for a long time after being forced to consume that by friends. The second product, which again, this is much more on the women's side, but they did have some other offerings. This is called Wick Witch Apothecary, and they make amazing wax melts that make a room smell delicious. They make amazing body butter and an oil-based perfume and candles, among many other things. And again, this is one of these products that we've introduced it to friends visiting from Europe, and now they're ordering online and can't get enough of it.
Then
Also
I
in Merrickville.
do you get ready with me with all Canadian. You can put this balm on or whatever, the lotion, and you can do
That's a great idea. I think we're gonna do get ready with me,
Canadian.
get ready with me local Canadian products.
But you need to find Alicia, you need to find him some makeup. Is there Canadian makeup?
That's a great question. I
Like
know of
some
a Canadian shampoo. It's called Design Me out of Montreal.
Okay, well, he needs stuff he can apply on camera, and especially for that glowing, blinding
Spot on my
forehead,
head, yeah. This
and also
thing.
the eyebrow situation. He's got some issues that he needs Canadian help with.
Okay, first of all, I'm just going to share another website. It's called madeinca.ca.
Oh, good.
It is an entire website dedicated to Canadian products.
Nice.
Let's see what they have. You guys keep talking. I'll find something.
Yeah, so we're gonna have some fun with this. And
Rub maple syrup on your face like it's a beauty treatment. I mean, you could get very creative with this. You don't even have to find like traditional makeup
right,
products.
I could use like
Yourself.
the ice wine shampoo
Yeah.
and the
You could just
maple syrup
cover yourself.
base.
It'd be better.
I mean, it'd be pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I think you should do it. You just cover your entire head with Canadian products, whether or not they're supposed to go on your head.
Right. Well, preferably ones that have nothing to do with, makeup or facial care
Yeah.
or that sort of
Oh, you
thing.
know what, Ben? I bet, honestly, maple syrup might actually really work with eyebrows, because it's like the sticky, like smoothing the eyebrows down. I bet that, honestly, that's worth trying right there.
I
I
think,
mean, you
yeah,
can
I
have
think there's something to be said for this whole concept. Um, you know, but then I would have to, I would have to use language. I would have to say like, I'll put this a boot. I'd have to like work on my Canadian accent a little bit.
Alicia says no, you don't have to do that. But I will say, like, the maple syrup on the eyebrow. The only thing is, like, I'm thinking it would attract insects and maybe even birds. So
As long
just,
as it doesn't attract jiggers, I'll be fine.
I don't think they burrow in your
Did
face.
you hear Alicia Holly's story about having a jigger in her toe?
No,
She doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah, you gotta
don't know what it
listen to
is.
3 days ago. The last show Holly was on that I was not on a train. There is a truly disgusting medical story involving a toe, a 9-year-old Holly, a 16-year-old would-be surgeon, and
A
a
parasite.
and a parasite that you've never heard of.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got really disappointed in the background because MAC Cosmetics, which started in Canada, got bought up by
Oh,
Estee Lauder and is now American. And I was like so excited to be like, hey,
I
MAC
thought
Cosmetics.
I thought Estee Lauder was French.
I don't know.
No.
Okay, please, this jigger thing and the toe and
It's
what?
okay.
Yeah,
We
just
can skip
watch,
it again.
watch.
Or
It's
not.
3 days ago. Holly was about to have a colonoscopy, and she was in a oversharing medical information kind of mood. And
That mood every day because I'm an extrovert.
um, all right, what else? Well, Holly, what is on your mind this morning?
Oh my gosh, you asked me that and my mind just went like completely blank.
It does that. Not
Yeah.
your mind in particular, but one's mind when put on the spot.
Um, well, I did hire EJ Wittes I enlisted him in my latest project.
So
So,
there is a question that has been circulating around dog shirt TV circles whether EJ Wittes actually exists.
oh, I've
Um,
met him in person.
and there, the nature of the controversy seems to involve the fact that EJ Wittes, if you Google him, there's almost no information other than my references to him on Substack and his byline on Dogshirt TV. So I want to assure you all um, that EJ Wittes is A, real, B, highly introverted and doesn't do, social media kind of stuff.
Good
And
for him.
C, isn't interested in coming on the show or introducing himself. And so
Which is too bad because he's charming. So,
maybe we
Maybe
should
you just
say,
need to text him at 7 in the morning and harass him a little more.
no, he wouldn't appreciate that. Maybe we should just always refer to EJ Wittes if there is an EJ Wittes or if he exists, and sort of cultivate the mystery about it.
okay. Well, whoever EJ Wittes is I've enlisted to help me because he did such a great job listening to the Dan Boingino or whatever, however you say his name show. I've enlisted him for my next
What's
parody.
Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino to you?
Okay, well, anyway, I've enlisted him to do some Charlie Kirk research that I did not want to do. So he's going to be wading through Charlie Kirk's Twitter feed and various other you know words and videos and things like that. So,
All right. Well,
I just want
I,
to point out that Matt C in the comments made a really funny post, and this is in relation to you claiming your son is real, Ben, I think. And he says, my Canadian girlfriend is also real. And that was just too witty to pass by.
that's really good, Matt. I didn't see that because I'm not looking at the chat today. But
my Canadian boyfriend is currently the prime minister. So,
look,
He's
I think
single.
we should
no.
all have real Canadian girlfriend jokes at the ready at all times. And, uh, you know, I think those are important. Um,
Oh, my latest geopolitical crush. It's not as traditional as the Justin Trudeau one, but I'm kind of loving Keir Starmer. There's something about the little round glasses. Yeah, I know, Alicia. Don't give me looks like that. Don't judge. Don't. It's like religion. Just let people do,
I
have their.
can't because he's such a sycophant and he's throwing Canada under the bus and he's delivering a letter from the king. And we're like, what, chopped liver? That's the king of our country, too. Said nothing about all of the attacks on us. You're
Well,
going
he's
to, like,
very
I'd
strong in
rather support
Parliament
Trudeau.
yesterday. Did
You,
you see him in Parliament yesterday?
you can get me on the Trudeau bus. Get me on the Starmer bus right now is really hard.
Okay, well, he was strong in the Parliament yesterday. My bar is low because our president, I don't know if you have noticed, is basically a grub that you dug up from the ground, a jigger.
Totally unfair
Yeah.
to the
So,
jigger.
yeah,
No, the
yes,
jigger is
he
just
is a
trying to
jigger.
find a home to lay its eggs.
Yeah,
I'm
he has found a home. It's called the United States, and he's laying his maggot eggs in the United States. And yeah,
I'm
I don't.
really, a parasite is just trying to get by like the rest of us. It's not doing shit to you because it hates you or anything. Trump is worse than a jigger.
That's true. That's true.
Um,
It is worse. Speaking of that, if you have a topic, please go ahead. But I did have another topic that
no,
I.
go for it.
So I just want to explore. I just thought we should explore a little bit more. We referenced it, I think, yesterday, and then we referenced it earlier today, of just the question of like why, because it seems that Trump is intentionally. I can understand why he's intentionally destroying the government. Obviously, he is trying to consolidate authoritarian power, but it seems like he's intentionally trying to destroy the economy, which I think seems less rational. It's possible the tariffs, he honestly doesn't understand what tariffs are. I mean, I think there's clear evidence of that, but also I just think maybe there's something else there. We talked, I think yesterday, my friend's strip tease theory of the tariffs, which is you're using them to manipulate the market. You dangle them out there and then you take them back, or you put them out there, but then you accept different things as a way to either manipulate markets or again consolidate your own power and line your own pocket. But I don't understand crypto per se, but I just think it's weird what's going on, the whole destroy the regular American economy and then like boost this whole crypto economy. I don't know. Why do you think he's seems to be fine with destroying the economy, Ben or Alicia?
Because he wants neo-feudalism.
I think it's possible to overthink this.
Oh, I
If
think it's definitely possible.
if you give a chimpanzee a flamethrower and poke it a whole bunch of times, the chimpanzee will not use the flamethrower in a rational, targeted fashion. Um, and that's what's going on here. He starts out as a wow, this is cool. Um, and then he's got a lot of hatreds. They're generally directed at um, women, minority groups, particularly those with different skin colors, but not exclusively. He really doesn't like Ukrainians either, and other countries. And so he's got his prejudices. And then over time, people have said mean things about him, as you might have noticed. And he remembers. And so now he's pointing the flamethrower at things and going, and I don't think it's much more complicated than that. He's a um, he's a terrible person who doesn't care about the economy. And it's not that he actively wants to destroy it. It's just that he does like pointing flamethrowers at things, and and he does really enjoy bullying and tariffs. And so it's just a toxic soup. And the only thing he responds to is uh, reciprocal threat. Um, and there aren't that many countries or people in the world that right now that have meaningful opportunities to threaten him in a reciprocal fashion that he notices in the short term. Now, can Canada do it in the longer term? Yes, if it's willing to absorb a fair bit of pain. Can it do it in the fashion that he will notice on the news tonight? Nope. Um, and so, and ditto, you know, Canada is not the worst off. I mean, Ukraine is much worse off, right? And so he's got, um, and by the way, for the one thing that he absolutely cannot respond to effectively is 24 countries that are individually not very important behaving in a unified fashion. And that is very hard to organize because being the outlier country that benefits from breaking unity in some sense is always going to be very attractive. So look, there's a collective action problem, and there's a fact that the U.S. is, the 800-pound gorilla, or maybe the 800-pound chimpanzee,
Orangutan. Orangutan.
orangutan
What's
with the
orange?
flamethrower. Um, and, you know, like, I don't know that there's a solution to this problem other than for countries to be very clear-eyed about it and to deal, to put up a unified front. And um, I just don't know how else to think about it.
Okay, so but he does stay. I mean, I don't know. What I'm just thinking of is like he cares about his own personal wealth, obviously. And presumably Elon Musk and all of these guys do. If the entire US economy just like tanks, then that also is bad for them. I'm trying to think like how he escapes. I guess because he knows, again, that's back to the theory. My friend's theory is that all of this, he's manipulating the markets. He obviously has um, prior knowledge of what he's going to do, even if nobody else does, and he's keeping everybody off balance. And so he can buy and sell stocks or crypto or whatever to line his own pocket while he tanks the economy as a whole. But to me, at a certain point, like if it really goes in the crapper, like he's not going to escape either, right?
He's gonna blame everybody else.
Yeah, I I think you're again thinking a little bit too much like a rational person. A rising
Very
tide
hard not to be rational because I am so rational,
a
you know.
rising tide lifts all boats and a lowering tide lowers all boats. But if you're a total grifter, you don't actually believe that, right? Like, oh, I'll lower all the boats and then I'll grab the super yacht. Like I don't think he's not thinking about the collective good. He's thinking about the good of my clan versus everybody else, and my clan versus my clan and my subgroup within the clan and my people within the subgroup and me with like and I just don't think he's evaluating this in the terms that you're like what you're leaving out is the narcissism.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I do think he seems at this point, just with the economy, but across the board, I'm alarmed that seems to not care about political consequences, really. I find that alarming because I feel like he and his movement, his cronies, are counting on, they don't really need that much political support to stay in power.
So that I'm less worried about. In fact, I'm kind of encouraged by. I think if he were more rational, more calculating, he would be courting the backlash less. And he does have to face midterm elections in 18 months. He does have to, um, you know, there are these feedback mechanisms. He's got to get a budget thing, a continuing resolution done for the government to stay open. There are things he has to get done, and I'm not sure that you can. I'm not, I'm not sure that he can. Like the fact that he's not calibrating means that the collapse, when it happens, is going to be the political collapse is going to be more powerful, not less. And so I'm, what do they call it? Alicia, the accelerationists.
Yeah.
I'm very Leninist about this. Maximize the contradictions, and let's be accelerationist as to this whole thing and bring the thing down. And if that means things have to get a little bit worse, or that his behavior is more erratic, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. All right, Alicia, you have more brands for us.
Yeah, I wanted to finish that off with the brands. Okay, so one is I found you a makeup line. It is called Makeup Addict. So the website is makeupaddict.ca, and it looks like it has everything you need for Get Ready With Me, Ben. So recommending it.
Wow.
Okay. There's like eyes, foundation.
I am totally doing this.
Ben, BB is for Ben cream. I feel like that's you.
Yeah.
And
So what is the name of this company?
It's called Makeup Addict. The website again is makeupaddict.ca.
Wow. All right. We're definitely doing this.
It seemed the most comprehensive. There are other options, but it had foundation, eyeshadow, everything, and there was a variety for you. So I feel like that was
lipstick, Ben. You need your lip game is weak. So you need some very bright lipstick. That's just my advice.
I don't know. We're on my show here talking about how my lip game is weak. That hurts my feelings, Holly.
I mean, granted, I am not known for my makeup prowess, so fair. But I still think, like, if you're doing for the Get Ready With Me videos, you want to go full Oscars for that. So,
all right, we got whiskeys.
I'm not going to tell you how to do your makeup. I haven't really mastered that in life. And then Frank was asking about Canadian whiskeys. I admit I've been a snob, not drinking Canadian products as much. So this one is harder. But Bareface Canadian whiskey comes up. Triple Oak. That sounds like it could be good. There are a lot of Canadian whiskeys. It's just a Google search away, really. This one is from Forbes. Forbes has an entire article on the top whiskeys from Canada in 2025. I'll share that in the chat. But also a good bet to move away from bourbon, which I'm going to have to do. That's all.
All right, there we go. We've got caramels, we've got whiskeys, we've got makeup, there was one other
candles and potions.
Right, candles and potions.
And things.
Joel the Nudge, what is on your mind this morning?
Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
How's it going?
So good.
Yeah, right? Just aces all around,
So much winning.
Right. Okay. So, Trump and his algorithm. You guys were kind of talking about this. I have a theory in this area. And it goes like this. He is just an algorithm. He's a virus. So you take an organism, say a population, for instance, and you deny them good public education, and then you feed them a diet, a cognitive diet of Fox News for several decades. Now our organic host has a weakness. Eventually, the proper pathogen comes along to exploit this weakness. And I think he's a virus.
So this is interesting
Non-thinking,
because I
and
was
he
discussing with
just
Scott
does.
Shapiro.
It's just that he's perfectly evolved for a weakness that is in this organic host.
So it's an interesting theory. I was discussing with Scott Shapiro yesterday whether Trump is a large language model trained on trained on data of Trump speeches,
And
sort of like,
McDonald's.
the way that ChatGPT keeps getting now trained on ChatGPT data because there's so much of it output. So Trump is kind of an LLM trained on his own bullshit, and that the more he puts out, the more his training is based entirely on his own output, the worse he gets. But I kind of like the viral infection model. I think it works better than Trump as a chigger.
So the left and the Democrats, rather than chasing every nonsensical thing, they have a pathogen, and what they need is an antigen.
What do you think, guys?
What is that though? Because this is a virus,
That's the
not a
million-dollar question:
bacteria.
is what exactly is the antigen to this? That's
So
that's the question.
The viruses are not
right.
bacteria, so they're difficult, right? But I will say, Joel, your theory of sort of the weakness, and I mean, my family members, I have family members who are basically a case study, and had a very well educated, lived all around the world, retired 20 years ago, has been on a steady drip of right-wing media for 20 years, and they are like patient one. I mean,
So, if people are exposed to viruses over time and there is no vaccine, they tend to build up immunity. And I don't like this idea, but I do wonder if things continue to get worse, then the response to that actually grows stronger and it'll probably emerge from awfulness, which isn't satisfying.
well, things are going to get worse. So I think that's pretty clear. I mean, personally, I thought like a nationally televised attempted coup would have been, enough to elicit the proper, response, defense of the body, responding to the virus. But apparently I was wrong. Like apparently a nationally televised attempted coup is actually no big deal and just
Different
not something we need to worry about. So
different people have different levels of immunity. So, Democrats were already kind of immune if they felt polarized and didn't like what they were seeing before. But unfortunately, people who support Trump were more susceptible to it. So,
There are two key texts, both from the 50s. One, Eugene Ionesco's Rhinoceros, and two, the improved version of Rhinoceros, which is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original one from 1959. And it's the same story, exactly the same story, but instead of avant-garde theater in Paris, it's a Hollywood movie, a horror movie, exactly the same story, and it is this. All right, we got to wrap up, people, because I got to go to Argentina and buy a whole bunch of Canadian makeup products, and these two have jobs, or Holly doesn't have a job, but Alicia has a job, and no,
that was rude.
I'm a trad wife, Ben. I am a traditional wife. I do a great job managing this household, and also I write some words, and
I'm
I
not
talk to you.
I'm
I'm
not
very charming and
criticizing you. You've proudly announced that you no longer have a job and that you're you
okay,
know,
but I can say that. You can't. That's rude for you to say it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but I don't accept that. I think I get to be your inner id and express um uh yeah, I'm I'm allowed to say that. All right, I'm going to Argentina. And I will see you all. There will be no show tomorrow. There will also be no show on Monday because I'll be flying back from Argentina.
Ooh.
These are overnight flights. There's just kind of no way to do it nicely. So, I will see you all next Tuesday. And keep the faith. And I know 4 days without Dog Shirt TV is going to be tough, but you're going to get through it. And we'll see you Tuesday.